Hello and welcome to Commodity Champions, your weekly dose of what's brewing in the commodity space. I am Manisha Gupta, and this week we will be discussing the controversial farm laws that has had farmers protesting at the borders of the national capital. It has been 16 days since the demonstrations against the centre's laws began, and the government has said that they are willing to bring in amendments into the farm laws. However, they have categorically ruled out a rollback. The farmers on the other side remain firm on their demand for a rollback and making MSP a legal guarantee. So with both sides refusing to blink, can farmers producer organizations provide a compromise? Besides helping farmers procure inputs at wholesale prices and access modern technology, FPOs will provide farmers the bargaining power they have been asking for. The government has been supporting the initiative by providing necessary policy support. So can this really be a solution that both sides can stomach? Joining me now to discuss this and more are Uday Deolankar. He is former division statistician at the Maharashtra government. Sunur Kaul is co-founder and director at Origo, and MJ Khan is chairman of the India Chamber Food and Agriculture. Gentlemen, hi. Thank you so much for taking time out today on Commodity Champions. And I really want to start with what the government has been tweeting for the last couple of days now. The latest in that series says that the government says that they will bring out reforms that will bring private investment, create jobs in villages, and make agriculture profitable. The legislation will make way to farm infrastructure like cold storage and warehousing to be created in villages, and will allow setting of 10,000 farmer-producer organizations, discouraging farmers from distressed sales of their produce. Uday, I want to start with you. I mean, this is the latest of the tweets that has come in from the government, which does focus on the FPOs. What is your sense on government trying to push FPOs? 10,000 is the number that they want to work with to begin with. How much will this fill the gap or ensure that the farmers do get whatever plus that there is to get from these three farm laws that have been passed?
What had happened after independence, the main problem is migration of people from a good agriculture bowl. Indian hills and tropics are able to produce numerous products which are superfoods, medicines, spices, foods, veggies, which are said to be the luxury since ancient times. I am actively working with 32 FPOs by now. Okay. Which what we have experienced in 2016, that was huge production year of pulses. Our FPOs in Maharashtra could meet the need to purchase with MSP, and they are also able to provide farmers with inputs, manage their livelihoods, and also FPO model has opened a huge opportunity to angel investors and venture capitalists. So I see this opportunity as a nation building activity. Not only farmers, but other people who are scholars, who understand the business very well. I must say, I invite them to join this venture, to understand this venture, and lead this venture with farmers. This will...
Uday, you know, there is a lot of fear within the farmers and unfounded, some people would say. But you are in Maharashtra, and as you said, you're working with 32 FPOs here. So would you say, first of all, that the three farm bills that have come in do have its own positives, and being an FPO, it just makes in for the necessary changes that the agriculture in India perhaps is looking for?
Look, this is the genesis of what we are thinking since last 15 years. This hasn't come up today or yesterday or day before yesterday. It has been involved various study groups. Our state marketing minister was president of all marketing ministers in the states, in a country. They submitted their report on around year 2006 itself, before 15 years. If we categorically go through the report, which has categorically stated the need of market change, linkages, cold storages, and I can tell you there are 36 types of rainfall, 36 meteorological divisions in India. And each division has a peculiar cropping pattern. every cropping pattern at their own periphery, at every area. Say black rice in Assam, say jowar in Maharashtra. We observe a distress sale when the harvesting season is approaching. To avoid this sale, we must give a marketing and logistic support. This bill has come up by the marketing division of Agriculture Department, not the one which is dealing with MSP. Why this confusion has aroused, I don't know. But these bills are prepared by the scholars who understand agriculture very well. But this has to be seen with a better understanding with farmers. We must go into this model. In Maharashtra, the government has launched three main schemes. That is a program on climate resilient agriculture that helps FPOs for up to 1 crore rupee business. Then another scheme is coming up, that is Magnet, that is by marketing division of Maharashtra, that helps for 10 crops like tomato, chilies, bananas, sweet oranges. There are 10 crops. They support up to 4 crore rupees with 60% of subsidy with working capital. And another model at the name of late Shri Balasabji Thackeray Agribusiness Initiative, that has no limit, up to 100 crore rupees. FPOs can join together and enter into business. Very good proposals are coming up, and I am very optimistic that this model is going to stabilize the climate very well.
So, Noon, my next question is to you now. I mean, as Uday was also saying that all of these bills have been in conversation for last 15 years. Even when we talk about the FPOs, the conversation and the work on that also has been on for last 8 to 10 years now. Looking at the kind of situation that we are stuck in right now with the farmers protesting now for 2 weeks and more, do you think FPOs is the answer? What is your sense? Because suddenly the agriculture market has been improving, opening up. We've seen startups come in. We've seen companies like you come in as well.
Sure, Manisha. So I think what farmers essentially need is two aspects, right? One is price discovery and second is a market linkage. And I think FPOs is the right response towards it over the years as well, close to about 6,000-7,000 FPOs who are targeting this. So, and there's a strength in numbers, right? So from anywhere from 500 to about 2,000 farmers forming an FPO. There is a negotiation power that allows them to get the price discovery. So there is no, there won't be, you can avoid a distress sale, and the FPOs can aggregate and be able to, I wouldn't say time the market, but essentially be able to stabilize the price, which can lead to a price discovery for farmer. And second is the market linkage, which is highly critical in terms of where to sell it. So you don't want to sell it where the demand and supply equation doesn't match. FPOs that way are able to aggregate a quantity that they can find the right buyer. From a farmer selling about 2 metric tons, there is a difference for an FPO selling about 2 to 5,000 metric tons. And that allows them to find the right buyer to get the right price at the right time as well. So in a sense, I think it allows for the right timing and the right price for the farmer as a group. And as I say, strength in numbers, I think, counts in this manner.
Well, absolutely. There's comfort in numbers, and the bargaining power as well increases when the FPOs come across. Mr. Khan, you perhaps have the best of numbers in hand right now. So pan-India, how many FPOs are registered? How many are active? How many of these are societies or cooperatives, etc.? And do you think enough work is being done right now? Mr. Khan, you perhaps are on mute right now.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Currently, there are about 12,000 FPOs registered, but 2,000 to 2,200 are estimated to be very actively working. And each FPO has, among these 2,000 at least, 1,000 members. So there is a very large network of farmers that are connected through the FPOs, and some FPOs have gone to the extent of becoming corporates. For example, Saidri Farms in Nashik, headed by Vilas Shinde, that has clocked a turnover of 500 crore plus annual. So that is the kind of success stories that are existing. In the years to come, I am foreseeing 1,000 FPOs crossing a turnover of 25 crore plus. So every year, if you have 1,000 FPOs crossing the turnover of 25 plus, then you have at least 100 corporates coming out of the FPOs. The difference between societies, which so far we had about 2.5 lakh societies, cooperative societies that we have in the country, the very structure is not functioning. The management system is not in place. So FPOs is a response to, it's a middle, beauty of cooperatives in terms of social equity and social response and participation, and the beauty of corporate in terms of functioning. So it is entrepreneurial initiative with all enabling provisions in the law that were made for FPOs. So this is a beautiful legal entity that has come out with the FPO Act. Now coming to future possibilities, farmers had a problem. Problem was of the scale. So FPOs are essentially, number one, they are providing the scale to the farmers because of the aggregation method. Two, that corporates are able to deal with single entity to deal with 1,000 farmers. Three, the many middlemen that were involved between farmers and the final market that have been cut significantly. So with these three distinct advantages, the FPOs are said to play a very important role in the months and years to come. Now coming to this current situation of farmers protesting in Delhi and around, FPOs are looking forward to be benefited very significantly by the enabling provisions and the ecosystem that these three bills or acts put together promise. So one side, agriculture is a very peculiar situation we face sometimes. For example, same commodity, that is maize. Poultry farmers would like to have prices as low as possible, and maize farmer would like to have prices as high as possible. While maize farmers will protest against any import which is cheaper of maize from anywhere, poultry farmers would love to get it imported from Brazil and elsewhere. Similarly, here also, when Green Revolution belt farmers are protesting because of the apprehensions or whatever about the mandi system might go away and the MSP might be dismantled and so on, the FPOs are looking at more free trade, more free market, more enabling provisions, more investment, more corporate partnerships, more value-added activities, and post-harvest management of the products, and added services like global gap certification, this monitoring systems in place, and so therefore there are two different kind of interest groups that are operating throughout the country. The farmers who are either part of the FPOs, or they are agri starters, or they are the corporates, or they are the organized sector cooperatives. So all these are looking forward to benefit by these acts. Let us see that where we are headed to.
Oh, absolutely. On that note, have to head for a very short break. But when we come back, we will also want to talk about the ground implementation, the funding, and also the global learnings that the India is facing right now when it comes to the agriculture markets opening up here. Welcome back. You're watching Commodity Champions, and spotlight is on farmer-producer organization and how can they, fill the gap that the market is facing or the industry is facing right now. Uday, I want to come back to you now. And while of course we've discussed, and all three of you have put very valid points forward, telling us on why FPOs are necessary. With the kind of protests that we have seen continuing and the government pushing for FPOs at this point in time, how do you see changes going forward? Is the funding appropriate and enough? Is the ground implementation enough? All of you also have talked about the problems that this is facing on ground as well. So what needs to be done in the light of the three farm laws that have been passed that the FPOs can make use of?
We must enter into a phase which will make people learned about functioning of FPOs. I have seen successful tribals, peasants, deprived classes, very successful in FPO model. What I see now is we are importing edible oil to an extent unprecedented, and we have a great scope in production of edible oil. We have specialties. We have linseed with maximum percentage of what you can say omega-3 acids, linoleic acid, safflower oil. The tropical products are special products world over, which are recognized world over. What has happened? We have lost the ground. We want to aggregate it. We will have to go into human resource development. We will have to enter into field research. Everything, if supported by FPO system, we are going to succeed. the consolidation, as Mr. Khan said, the consolidation, the aggregation, the reach of market, everything you can attain only if this model is sort of successful. What I by now see that we must improve the reach. Improve the reach in the sense of the understanding of FPO, in terms of inputs, in terms of the reverse linkages, forward linkages and backward linkages. We must go strongly through this model, and we must convince farmers, not only farmers, but also investors and other people who are not in farming business. We must attract investment in this sector. We must attract more style of management, the modern style of management, the perfect management. They must, the other manager peoples who are strong technically must join hands with farmers. This will create a new climate. This will create new ecology. FPO model is a system economically viable and ecologically sustainable. We are facing some challenges world over. Some new ruling is coming. Gap laws are coming. Organic agriculture is also an opportunity. We can face these all opportunities, and we can conquer the task through this model only. We must strongly remain adherent to this model and move further.
Absolutely, that point is well taken. So, no, you know, it's not just India, because other countries like China, Vietnam, Indonesia also have adopted the FPO approach. And, you know, in the last few days when the government has been trying to talk to the farmers, they also have been counting on what all changes has the government brought about, whether it has been about PM Asha or transferring direct money to the farmers, various such schemes. What would you say on what the agriculture looks like right now? What are the global learnings that we look at, and what really needs to be done from here?
I think, as we have seen in the last few months and years as well, Manisha, has been that even us, like Origo, buys commodities from farmers and FPOs as well. I think our model has also moved towards reaching out to FPOs more and more to be able to either buy in bulk quantities, and of course we still have linkages with farmers. But I think the trend has become a little bit more digital. I think the penetration in terms of reaching out price information-wise, price procurement-wise, has been more digital and more aggregated. So we have started discussing with some of the large input companies and some of the companies which form these FPOs to connect the FPOs with us more and more, so that we can have the price discovery mechanism for the FPOs and in that relation with the farmers. Secondly, what we have seen is we've seen a lot of stocking done by FPOs more and more, which allows them to sell at the right point, whichever is appropriate for them. And I think being more educated about how this commodity can be sold to the right producer. I think just the education, awareness, and being able to connect with the right set of buyers. Disintermediation has been key by the FPO. As Mr. Khan and Mr. Uday said, I think the management of FPOs is very robust, and I think that's where it's been key that they identify the right partner to work with, whether it's a financial partner, whether it's the need of the capital, or it's the right market linkage that needs to be set up. I think they have been able to identify better, which benefits the farmers in the long run.
Well, you know, you all have explained via examples on how FPO as a system really works from here, and that's really heartening to know. And the government clearly ready to make amendments with the recent laws. I'm assuming the future does look very positive. I have time just about for one last question to you, Mr. Khan. You know, even when we talk about FPOs, there are some concerns onto this one as well, about the person heading the FPO. Excuse me. The other is about the correct funding to the FPO, whether it is all reaching out to the last mile or not. How can that be bettered going forward?
So let's face the reality. The reality is that startups and the small companies, 3% survive. So even if we have 3% survival rate, FPOs have done their job. Now, last budget, government has allocated rupees 5,000 crores for creation of 10,000 FPOs, and also the enabling provisions of strategic consultants and then the hand-holding organizations, which will take care of half the state, if large state or one state. What is required is that what other two speakers have mentioned, absolutely correct, that very specialized approaches are required. For example, earlier, we needed the global gaps. Now, what importing countries are asking for is what is your water footprint, how much water you have used in producing a particular thing that you are exporting to us. Earlier, the concerns were about the use of child labor. So these are the kind of concerns that need to be addressed, and individually, especially unless the small entities are there. For example, we are moving into superfood era. So these large number of FPOs with a local approach and global outlook, they can, one side they can help farmers adopt all the modern practices, latest technologies. On the other hand, address the concerns of the importing countries. So the trade and export, that is the focus of this Modi 2 government, is something which the FPOs together will make it a reality. And already we have seen in the COVID period of the first quarter, 24% growth in the agricultural exports. Unbelievable, unprecedented, never before. So we hope this kind of trends continue. Thank you, Manisha.
Well, absolutely. And as you said that, yes, FPOs, and this is one sector that can continue to work. I mean, you've given us so many examples right now, which the industry perhaps should be looking at. Local approach, global outlook is something that we should be looking at. 12,000 FPOs already there, especially with the government ready to make a lot of measures. I think this is one area, or this is one system that should perhaps agriculture as an industry should be watching out for. But with that, that's all the time that we have on the show. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for watching this edition of Commodity Champions.